Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about a civil lawsuit filed by your friends at the Department of Justice, especially Harmeet Dillon, head of the Civil Rights Division, against 6 different states. Actually, what they've done is file 6 different lawsuits against 6 states: California, Minnesota, Michigan, and more. The relief they want is to get all this information about the voter rolls of these 6 states, and especially whether everybody on the roll has a kind of a clean bill of health, especially as far as immigration goes. So part of this is the continuing paranoid fantasy, really, that people who aren't here legally nevertheless are voting somehow, which would be the smartest and quickest way to get deported. But that's at least the pretext. Okay, this is pretty big. I have counseled again and again to really keep our eye on the ball of anything that could be used by Trump and his administration to monkey with the elections if and when the time comes. And here, all this information, a kind of mother lode of information, everybody, all the voters in Minnesota, who's good, who's bad, is just a ready-made sort of cache of data that would permit any mischievous, not fully honest, say, government official to try to say something is amiss with the elections, even if it's not true. That is, once you have information on all the voters or whatever, you can make any kind of claim. Think about Trump in 2021 when he had basically nothing, and all the bullshit claims he and Rudy Giuliani and others made. Now we're talking about a case in which he can say, well, our Minnesota database shows X, Y, or Z, and especially in the election context, which really unfolds very quickly and things have to be decided, that could be completely toxic. Okay, let's talk about the theory here, because he's trying in a number of ways to muck around and be involved in elections, and it's 100% clear that it's the states and localities who administer elections. That's all the way back to the constitutional scheme. But it's surely the legal scheme. It is to states to basically do their own job. In fact, remember at the very beginning of the republic, it was just the electoral votes and the like, and the state would decide it. So there is a irony, you might say a cheekiness, because what the feds have done and the states that are speaking up say, this has never happened before, what the hell? But this is what the Central District of California lawsuits are going to test. They take the few federal lawsuits to protect votes and civil rights, the lawsuits that by and large, the statutes that by and large the Trump administration is looking to vitiate. And they say those are federal laws, as they are. They state federal commands, as they do. And therefore, and this is the big leap, legally and just as a matter of precedent. And therefore, we, the federal government, we, the Department of Justice, have to oversee, have to reverse the normal state of affairs where states decide things for themselves and keep their own voter rolls for themselves. And instead, we are demanding here, and that's what each of these lawsuits against each of the 6 states do, all this information, and saying, because there are these federal lawsuits that do, in fact, rely on statutes to say, states in general have to do this or that. They have to provide, for example, motor voter. That's one of them. They have to provide for ways to register. They are trying to manufacture, gin up from those few provisions, some kind of right for the federal government to just come in and say, give it all to us. Tell us everything about all your voter rolls. And not that there would be a legal impediment once they have that information for trying to use it in different ways. But let me just say, I think the experience of the last several years and the notion of who Harmeet Dillon and others in the Trump camp are, to my mind, leaves next to no doubt that if they get this stuff, they will want to use it to make trouble, and they will use it to make trouble. Now you have several states, and so there are 6 states. These are the ones. We think there are some states, Missouri might be one, that they got this request from the Department of Justice and they said, oh, here you go. These are states who have not said here, there you go, and indeed has said, what the hell? You don't have a right to this information. By the way, no DOJ has ever asked for it before. So the fact that there are some federal statutes that impose requirements on the states to actually, do certain things where elections are concerned in no way grounds a right for the feds to just have all this information. Now, it's a little interesting and a little tricky. If law were completely realistic and open, what would you hear from these states? We know who Trump is. We know who Harmeet Dillon is. Here is what you're giving away. Here are the keys to the kingdom, and here is how they're going to use it. And the stakes there are really potentially the whole deal. The whole, if they're able to use this stuff as Trump tried to do, but he didn't have the goods in 2020 and 2021 to mess with, reverse the election, and suppress the will and decision of the voters, we're kind of toast as a republic. So that might be in the back of the mind of the judge who gets these cases. We don't know who that is yet, but we will know very soon. And, people who follow this closely, I just did a Substack live yesterday with Mark Elias, sort of Mr. Elections. He's really good. I recommend it. But the basic idea is that we know what's going to happen here. That's really not going to be the basis for litigating. The basis for litigating is going to be a sort of straight federalism issue saying this isn't their job. And even if they have a right for us to comply with the statute, they don't have the further additional right for us to give up everything we've got on our rolls and give them all this information that they can make trouble with and basically overcome our responsibility and our duty and our traditional prerogative to figure out what's up with citizens who's eligible to vote and the like. So in that sense, it's a case brought under, there's a great irony because the Civil Rights Division, which at this time in election cycle, always Republican and Democrat, would have been vigorously weighing in efforts by various states to not comply with rights of certain kinds and the like. Here, I think people well understand that they are trying basically to get a mother load of data that they can really twist and turn and make trouble with. And that's what the lawsuit will be. And we'll see what the judge in the Central District of California has to say about whether in a constitutional republic in which all responsibility really for figuring out voter qualifications and the like is supposed to be with the states, the feds nevertheless can shake loose this very useful, valuable, and dangerous, in a way, data from all the states under some theory of administration of the few federal voting statutes that remain. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.